Hi, Christopher.
All right, so let me play you a piece of sound that went to the charge against Comey, the central one about his behavior, his decision to leak, his notion of that word, and his assessment of his move. Here's the sound.
I sent one memo, unclassified then, still unclassified, and it's recounted in my book, to my friend Dan Richman and asked him to get the substance of it, but not the memo, out to the media. Separately, I wrote a bunch of memos about my interactions with President Trump, and I was what was called an original classification authority at the FBI, meaning I had the training and the authority to make decisions about what should be classified, what shouldn't. The bottom line is, I see no credible claim by any serious person that that violated the law.
You did leak memos. I mean, is it okay for somebody at the FBI to leak something, an internal document, even if it's not classified? Isn't that leaking?
Well, there's a whole lot wrong with your question, Anderson. First, I didn't leak memos. I asked a friend to communicate the substance of one unclassified memo.
Whether you...
Can I finish for a second?
Sure, okay.
One unclassified memo to the media, and I was really important. I was a private citizen. I was not an FBI employee at that time.
But it was an internal document. It was a document you had written while you were FBI director. That is a leak. I mean, if you tell somebody, don't give them the document, but tell them what's in the document, that's still a leak, no?
Well, not to get tangled up in it, I think of a leak as an unauthorized disclosure of classified information.
Really? That's it? That's a leak?
That's how I thought about it as FBI director. We investigated leaks, so unauthorized disclosures.
So his answer in summary is, I ain't a leaker. I had the decision to say what was classified or not. I was a private citizen, and a leak is an unauthorized disclosure of confidential information, and this checked none of those boxes. Satisfied?
No. And you saw that he was squirming around answering those tough questions by your colleague Anderson Cooper. Maybe he wasn't expecting that. I believe Jim Comey expected a hero's welcome from many in the mainstream media, and between Jake Tapper and Anderson Cooper, I think many tough questions came his way. Here's the problem with what Comey said about leaking. We already know that he gave memos to his friend Daniel Richman, more on him in a second, with the intent that Richman would leak it to the media, and hoping, quote, to trigger a special counsel. All of that happened, Christopher. Everything he wanted to happen, happened, including the word leak. There's one thing that we didn't know until recently about Daniel Richman. We know he's a Columbia University professor. We know he's a, quote, friend of Jim Comey's. It's been recently revealed something that Jim Comey never bothered to tell anybody while he was under oath up in Congress, never bothered to tell the president, never bothered to write in his book, never bothered to tell anybody until it was revealed this week that Daniel Richman was also a special government employee at the FBI. This guy can come and go as he pleased at the FBI from the summer of 2015 till February of 2017.
Relevance?
Don't you think, as a reporter, Christopher, it's relevant, it's a very germane fact. And this guy tonight talking about concealment, he was concealing a very important fact. He called him a friend and a Columbia professor, as did everybody else in the media. You've got to start identifying this guy as to who he was. Special government employee at the FBI. 35,000 or so people work at the FBI. Jim Comey decided his friend should be there, and decided that friend, who just happened to be the FBI during the Clinton investigation, after Trump won, during the Trump transition, and into the Trump administration until February 2017. That is a very important fact. Jim Comey can moralize all he wants. He's playing body language expert tonight.
Who he gave it to leak to the media?
Oh, come on, Chris.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm asking you to explain it. Explain it.
Excuse me. The only thing we ever heard about this guy previously is that he was his friend.
Right.
He never said his friend and then a Columbia professor. Never bothered to tell us once that that man worked at the FBI for over a year and a half, including during the time when Hillary Clinton was being investigated.
Right. Why does that change it?
Donald Trump was not being investigated. Oh, come on. Are you telling me that you run on thin allegations all day long? This may happen, that may not have happened, collusion, allegation, and this isn't a material fact. It goes to his credibility, and it goes to how much he conceals. Also tonight, I think Anderson was right in asking Jim Comey the question.
Kellyanne, I'm not saying that you're wrong about what you're saying about Richmond. I'll have to get into it a little bit more.
Okay, then have Richmond on your program tomorrow.
I would love to. I ask for people to come on all the time.
And who else did Jim Comey give the memos to?
Is different. Well, he also said he gave it to his counsel to help in giving him good advice for his own potential defense. But I just want to say why you think it matters whom he gave it to disseminate to the media. Why does it matter whether it was his wife or someone who had some kind of loose affiliation with the FBI or someone who was a real-time agent with the FBI? How does that change the nature of Comey's decision with respect to the memos and what its importance is in the overall dialogue?
Well, in this case, we've only been told he was a friend and a Columbia professor. It's relevant because the man was at the FBI when all of these investigations and other things were going on. It is relevant because you don't know what other access to information he had. So if this man is speaking to the press with a Comey memo in his hand, then how do you know what else he knows or doesn't know? Don't you think that's a legitimate line of inquiry?
No.
Look, Jim
I'm not
Comey
sure because, first of all, I don't even know if it's
some...
true. I don't really know if it's true if he had any official capacity
that
within
he worked
the FBI,
at the FBI
or if he had a role within the investigation. I don't know. That's not my reporting. I have to check more into that. But even if it were all true, even if it is all true, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt on all of it. It's all true. I don't understand how that makes a difference in terms of what he decided to do.
Jordan. Christopher, you don't think it's relevant to your viewing audience that the same person who took the memo from Jim Comey also worked at the FBI previously or during all that time? Of course it's, and here's what else is relevant. Jim Comey said tonight, he's, this impassioned, patriotic, I want youth to stay involved. We all do. I want you to go and vote. He didn't bother to vote. He thought Hillary Clinton, who he wanted to win, didn't need his vote.
But you know why people in the Bureau don't vote. It helps give them the appearance of being impartial. I mean, that's not uncommon with people in law enforcement, let alone at the DOJ and the FBI. You know that.
That's not true. That's not fair.
It's
and by
100%.
The way, we should not.
It's 100% true.
He has a right to vote. I'm sorry. He has the right to vote.
He absolutely has the right, and he has the right not to vote.
And he can express that. What he doesn't have the right to do, I would argue, is go tell the world that Hillary Clinton is not under investigation and never bothered to tell who wasn't the president. She was just a candidate, twice failed, and not tell the world that President Trump is not under investigation. Why wouldn't he go and tell the country what he had told the president at least 3 times privately, that he's not under investigation?
Because that's not the protocol of the FBI. They don't do that.
Oh, okay. So speaking of protocol of the FBI, you read Rod Rosenstein's memo from May 9th.
Rosenstein,
he very clearly says that Jim Comey broke with protocol.
Yeah, he did.
The FBI.
But now you're asking him to break with protocol again.
Nobody even mentions his memo
Isn't that
anymore.
making it even worse?
No. Christopher, let me ask you something as an American for a moment. Don't you think it's
I always
relevant
answer as an American,
for you
by the way,
or me
but go ahead.
And the rest of the country to know that the sitting president of the United States is not under investigation? Why shouldn't we know that?
Because they don't do
foreign
that.
Leaders know that?
Because they're not
Trump
supposed to
Why
do
shouldn't
this.
Our soldiers,
and when he did it about Hillary
our
Clinton,
brave
it was
men and
argued.
women know that.
All right, hold on. I'll let you finish. Here's the answer to your question that you asked me. One, he has the right to vote. He also has the right not to vote. And it is absolutely true that many people who work in law enforcement, the FBI, DOJ, even on the prosecution side, don't vote because it helps motivate their sense of impartiality. It's a personal choice. It's not a mandate, obviously. However,
I'll tell you what else they don't do.
Hold on.
They don't write books the second after they're fired.
That's a fair criticism.
No. I tell you what else they don't do.
It's a fair criticism.
They don't write books the second after they're fired, especially, and Anderson pushed on this, especially when they're witnesses. He's definitely a witness in the Mueller investigation, and he's certainly going to be a witness in the McCabe criminal referral. His number 2 got criminal referral last week.
We don't know if they'll prosecute, but he
I
certainly could be.
also would have asked Jim Comey a very simple question. I also would have asked Jim Comey a very simple question. With whom do you side? Do you believe the IG, the Office of the Inspector General, or do you believe Andrew McCabe?
It's not his call.
Because they are in conflict here. And it was, oh, come on. It's not his call. He had an opinion on everything tonight. You're making him relevant by allowing him to moralize.
Well, first of all, he's a
body language expert. He's a marriage counselor.
He's inherently relevant for reasons that you just mentioned and others.
No, he's relevant because Donald Trump fired him. Apart from him being fired, tell me what his distinctiveness is.
He spent quality time investigating central allegations and concerns to our democracy.